everyone. Lisa Haven here. Well, Fox News' Tucker Carlson has just issued a very scary and eerie warning to the American people. And this particular warning, I don't believe should be taken lightly, especially in light of everything that is now happening to conservatives and Trump supporters. What am I talking about? Well, take a look at this report that was published on Fox News by Tucker Carlson just a couple of hours ago. But it's headlined this: Tucker Carlson says, peaceful assembly is suddenly a crime depending upon who you voted for. And he goes on to state this: all of us should be every bit afraid of this. It is terrifying. And I happen to agree with him. But he goes on to state this in the report. He says, if you're planning to be in D.C. tomorrow, your nation's capital, be very careful. A group of political extremists plan to shut down the city. We're not guessing about this because they're not subtle about what they intend to do. They literally call their group Shut Down D.C. on their website. The extremists actually describe the violence that they intend to commit in Washington. They're planning to, quote, disrupt direct action, also to plan business as usual and dismantle the country's core system of government. In case there's any remaining doubt about their goal, they're calling tomorrow's disrupt direct action December 7th, shut down the Capitol, as in the United States Capitol. Now, Tucker Carlson expands on this, and he really says something that our leaders should be calling this. And he says this: what would you call an event like this? There really is no other word for it except an insurrection. It is a planned uprising against our elected government. In fact, if an attack on it is an attack, he says, on democracy itself, maybe the most organized attack since the Civil War in September 11th. If you've been paying attention for the past year, 11 months to today, in fact, you probably assume our elected officials vehemently oppose something like this. They're obviously against insurrections after what happened on January 6th, where they over-exaggerated everything that happened, but I digress. In fact, at this point, insurrections are the main thing they're against. That's why they formed the January 6th committee, right? Their whole job is to impose insurrection, as we've seen Nancy Pelosi time and time again, and Liz Cheney with their a committee for January 6th. However, that doesn't necessarily seem to be the case with this one that's literally called Shut Down DC. You see, Nancy Pelosi, and this is in the same article, tells us that every single day that they're against insurrections, and so does Liz Cheney. But not in this case, as it turns out that some insurrections are just fine. It all depends on who is planning the insurrection. Just today, Nancy Pelosi's top bodyguard, William J. Walker, the House surrogate at arms, issued a statement describing tomorrow's insurrection as the shutdown of the Capitol event. This is just the citywide First Amendment demonstration. It's no big deal, folks, implied Walker, just a group of political left-wing radical extremists coming to shut down the U.S. Congress while it's still in session. Not a threat and at all. Nope. Look the other way, people. That is only reserved for conservatives. This is why Tucker Carlson is very clear. Right up at the top, all of us should be every bit afraid of this. It's terrifying when they get to decide who can peacefully assemble and who can't. And of course, this is only reserved for radical leftists, and Nancy Pelosi obviously supports this. It was all, as Pelosi would say of tomorrow's planned insurrection, a First Amendment demonstration. It is Americans peacefully assembling to express their political views as they've done for over 250 years. The Bill of Rights guarantees that they can, but only if they're radical leftists, aside from the point that they're committing violence, Nancy Pelosi, but that doesn't matter as long as you're on the left. There's nothing more American than that. We've seen it for decades. Yet here's the change, and I agree here with Tucker Carlson. Suddenly it's a crime to do this, depending upon who you voted for. And that's the kicker there. If you're part of January 6th and you went to a rally, right, and went there and committed some act of violence, that's an insurrection. But if you're a radical leftist actually talking about doing violent acts at the U.S. Capitol, that's their right for over 250 years. Let me show you Shut Down D.C. here. And this is why I think Tucker Carlson is so very right. I'm going to go back to that article when he says all of us should be every bit afraid of this. It's terrifying. Why? because there's one rule for conservatives and one rule for Democrats and leftists, and it is not okay. But here is their shut down DC. They're literally calling to shut down the Capitol. What exactly does that mean? Well, they tell us on December 7th, as Congress returns to the Capitol for the last week of their legislative calendar, we're going to take bold actions. That means they're in office at this time, right? They're going to take actions to pass things that they promised. They're going to take to the streets to shut down the backroom meetings and political theater that have failed to deliver the progress that our community needs. We'll start early in the morning with street blockades surrounding the Capitol, each lifting up a program that matters to their community, and they go on to list radical leftist organizations and groups. Then they go that they're going to take bold action to demand that Congress act and the whole 9 yards. And then on the very right here, it says, how do you want to participate, right? And it says, I am willing to risk arrest. What would you have to do to get arrested? That's the question. But they're willing to risk arrest to demand the policies that our community needs. Are you willing to risk that? They go, and then they say, which blockades are you interested in? Here's all the different blockades or whatever that they're wanting to put up in their movement. But this is a very radical organization. And here's some of the things that they have on their about section. And you could see some of their actions there. And a lot of this, I've read through all of it. It's just a big Trump bash. It's like, okay, get over yourself already. But one has to ask, honestly, where is the FBI on this? They're absolutely quiet, yet they're forming committees over exploding the events to make a poster child of anyone who I guess to use as an example would be the better word. They want to make the Capitol 6 people an example to send conservatives, Christians, and Trump supporters a message. But meanwhile, radical leftist groups are talking about getting arrested for the cause, putting up blockades and shutting down DC, openly advocating for this stuff. And Nancy Pelosi says, that's all right, because it's her side of the fence. Where is the FBI? You want more information about this? Right now, we are offering Restricted Republic for $1 for 45 days. You can cancel whenever you want. Get there. Justice Knight is posting a big video expanding a lot on exactly what I'm talking about right now. You're going to want to hear it because we're really limited. And let me be honest with you, there's only so much time that we are going to be allowed here on these alternative platforms, because as you can already see, and as Tucker Carlson warned you, right, we should be very afraid of the fact that one side can get politically persecuted while the other isn't getting politically persecuted over similar things. This is why I created Restricted Republic, because they're trying to censor us from every platform. Get to Restricted Republic, use the coupon code to get the discount. That is Christmas 21. We're only going to have it through the month of December. Use the coupon code Christmas 21 to get it for $1 for a full 45 days. Get there and get the latest on what's going on with January 6th and all that, because he's posting an amazing video. But with that, what exactly is going on with January 6th, and how are things just really getting blown out of hand? Well, take a look at this Gateway Pundit article. January 6th attorney, undercover law enforcement officers passed out weapons. Ooh, that's entrapment. Passing out weapons as law enforcement officers or FBI agents to J6 protesters who were later arrested. Now, the article goes on to detail this, and this was actually published on Fox News originally, but here it is. Here's what Joseph McBride says, right? And he says this is an attorney for the J6 people, it says, and this is what he said on Fox News. Let me call one of these people out. Someone who was tagged by the internet as a seditious hunter, as a red-faced 45. This is someone who was dressed in Trump gear, and he shows the picture there, right? Painted with a MAGA red face. He has a Trump hat, Make America Again, but yet he says, this is the lawyer saying, he is clearly a law enforcement officer. He interacts with uniformed personnel. He interacts with agents in the crowd. He passes out weapons, sledgehammers, poles, and mace. Some of those things come in contact with some of the other protesters who have subsequently been charged with possessing dangerous weapons and using dangerous weapons at the Capitol. This is clearly entrapment. This is clearly the government creating conditions of dangerousness and entrapping members of the crowd to possess weapons and possess them for reasons we cannot comprehend. That's downright chilling. Right? Now, more information. Attorney for defendants calls for release of 1/6 footage from the Capitol. I agree with that. I think we should see that. And then we have here, this is a political article, and I'm not going to touch on this because Justice Knight is expanding on this on Restricted Republic. Get there, use that coupon code. But it says, absolute liars. Ex-DC Guard officials say generals lied to Congress about January 6th. And this is in a 36-page memo to the Capitol Riot Committee on the information. So there's lots of lies. There's lots of exaggerations. The footage has yet to be fully released. There's entrapment. There's FBI agents involved. And it's like this thing has really got blown out of the water. Meanwhile, BLM, Antifa, shut down DC, these kinds of actions are going completely and utterly ignored. There is one society for them and another for us. And I really think we should hearken what Tucker Carlson is saying. And we have to start voting the right people in. Anyhow, I love all of you. Please don't forget to check out my partner at noblegoldinvestments.com. If you guys have not done this yet, I want to encourage you. You really need to. We're headed into some pretty terrifying territories as far as the economy is concerned. And right now, it's just an added bonus. They're giving away this the beautiful 5-ounce silver coin with any approved IRA. You're going to want to get it. And you're going to want to make sure that you diversify that profile if you have not yet. But they've got precious metals, gold, and silvers. Give them a call. Let them know you heard it on Lisa Haven at 1-877-646-5347. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.